Alright, so my camera's not working, sorry about that, but let's get the HUD working on our display. So the first thing we want to do is we can just right click over here, user interface, widget blueprint. I'm currently in the content section, so I just clicked on content, right click, user interface, widget blueprint, and I'm going to call this character HUD. Enter. Double click on this to open it up, and we're going to attach it on the top here. And this is the designer. We have to attach the graph as well. We'll get to that later, but right now let's design our HUD. So for our life bar, mana bar, or whatever you want to call it, we're going to use a progress bar. We're just going to drag and drop it in. Keep in mind everything's going to look really rough at the moment, but later on as we move along with this tutorial series, we'll come back to this and polish it up and make it look extremely professional. Right now, that's about just getting the foundations done. So that's good enough for progress bar. Now if we scroll down here, by appearance, full color, we can choose the color. And let's make the color, I'm going to make mine, choose whatever color you like. I'll make mine pink. And I'm going to press OK. And you know what? I'm going to leave things as they are. Just like that. Currently, if you play the game, you'll notice that it's not showing. And that's okay, because we're not there yet. Once we've done this, go back over here, and we've got this character blueprint. The next thing I'd like you to do is click on content and mannequin, animation, third person admin blueprint. Open this up. Click on event graph, and there's a few things we want to do here before we connect it to this. So let me just quickly minimize this so I can review what I just did before I did this started this tutorial. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is create widget, and then choose your character HUD, and then we want to right click and say get player controller, and we're going to connect the player controller to the one that's owning. And what this means is currently the player index is 0. And how do we know what index we need to use? Well, if we go back here and we click on this mesh over here, this human, one sec, let me just, there you go. You'll see this menu pops up over here. And there's way too many options here, if you ask me, too many things that are open, but we have to scroll all the way down until we get to, it's quite a long way down actually. My goodness, ridiculous amount of scrolling, way too many options in one place, but I get it. That's what you get with Unreal, you get everything. There we go. Pawn. Currently the auto possesses player 0, and if we go back here, we can see we chose player index 0, so it matches up, and that's perfect. And the other thing we want to do is connect this to add to viewport, and then we can connect this to this, and let's move this back here, and what we'll do is we'll give this its own class, so make it look a little bit neater. There we go. Now both of these things are connecting in here, and they don't have to. So actually I'm going to hover over this and alt click, sorry, there we go, and we just connect this into there, and there we go, it's nice and neat. And we can select these three options here and press C, and this is, we can call our character HUD character HUD display. So this is what we need for our character HUD to display. So now if we press play, it's still not showing. Well, we can see it over there, just that white bar, but we're not seeing the color, and it's because currently the life hasn't been set. So we're going to go back now to our character HUD, select this, it's called progress bar _0. Let's rename this, and call this the health bar. And while we're at it, let's add another progress bar. I'm just going to select this, Control C, Control V to copy and paste, and put this right underneath. And we're going to rename the second one. Rename. We're going to call this stamina bar or super bar, or whatever you want to call it. You can have as many bars as you like. We won't go into this one right now. Sean the Bro doesn't, so I don't see why I need to, but we will be going into this one, and the same principles apply to the bottom one. Alright, so obviously you can choose a different color for each one, so let's make this one green, although it won't show right now. Now that we've done that, the next thing we can do is we can go into our graph editor, and there's a few things we want to do here. Just looking at this, compile this quickly. Let's go back here. Okay, there's one more thing we want to do. When we go scroll down here and we go to performance, where is it? Performance. No. One sec. Select your select your health bar, and then look at progress. You'll see percent, and you'll see bind. Create binding. Once you've created binding, you'll have your event graph here, which we saw a second ago, but now we've created this new thing called get health bar percent 0. You could rename this, but you can just leave it as is. It makes sense. There's a few things we want to do here for it to read the information a little bit better. And let me quickly get right. So the first thing we want to do is cast to our game. So this game is called generic. I think generic. Hold on, let me spell cast correctly. Cast to generic fighter game character. I think that's the name of our game. Generic fighter game character. So this is going to cast to our game character, and we need to set which game character it needs to cast to. So over here we'll just right click and say get player character, and we'll connect this into here. And then finally we will go out of here and say, this might not show just yet because we haven't set it in the code, but we have to put player health here. Okay, it's right here. Get player health, and we'll connect it here, and that's the main thing that we have to do here. Everything's working, it's compiled. A4way, once again we're using player index 0, so all is well in the world. Right, and now unfortunately the thing that could not be avoided is the code. Good news is that it's relatively short, and let me just make sure that this is the one where it's not already done. Okay, it's not done over here. Okay, it's not done here. Just making sure I didn't do it. Okay, perfect. So go to your generic fighter game character.h, your .h file, and let me quickly give you the basic code. Let me just bring this on this side here. I've got too many Visual Studios open. I do apologize about this. Generic fighter game character. Okay, cool. So the first thing we want to do in the .h file is we're going to set it up so that your character is going to be taking damage. So we can also make the health visible, but also show what happens when the when damage is taken on the HUD, on the health bar. In other words, damage being reduced. So the first thing we want to do is scroll down over here to a pawn interface, and we're going to click over here, enter. So it's in the protected class, but before the public class, right? And we're going to type in // and this will do damage the player, and that's just a note. And then we can go void take damage, open bracket. Now we have to create a float because there's multiple variables that it could be. It's not just 1 or 2. Space underscore damage amount close bracket. And you always have to use the right type of brackets, as you know, so always pay attention to that, and that should be fine. And then we're going to do one more thing. So now we've added the damage feature, but we also need to add the health feature. The amount of health the character currently has. So we're storing this information here. Oh, I made one mistake. Yeah, it has to be // because this is a note, so we know what we're about to do. And we're going to use uProperty for universal property. And the reason why we're using uProperty is because we want to make this a universal property so we can use it in the C++ as well as in blueprints. So we're going to go uProperty, open bracket, edit anywhere, comma, specifically blueprint, read, write, comma, category, always check your spelling, equals health, and close bracket. So we've got uProperty, edit anywhere, blueprint, read, write, category equals health. That's perfect. And then finally we just need to create a float for the player's health, and it's going to be simple. We're just going to call it float player health. And that's it. That's what we need in the header file, but we're not done, unfortunately. We need to go to our C++ section, and there's a few things we need to do here. So we're just going to scroll to the very top, and the first thing you want to do is scroll down here to where you see get character movement. You might have some one sec, let me just actually add the text that's missing there. Not that it's really needed, but you know, if it's there, it's there. So actually undo. And one sec, Control C. So that's just the notes that you'll see. And basically what you can do is just have a space here and type in player health equals 1.00 if currently we're just using between 0 and 1, and later on we will be changing this. This is just a temporary solution to make sure everything's working. Player health. Now if we go back here, we just created the float for player health, and this basically works out how much health you currently have, and over here we're saying how much health you start with, which is 100% or 1.00. And the next thing we need to do is scroll down, and we want to take damage whenever we take one of our actions. So we could do it attached to any one of these actions. If you press the button, damage will happen. And I'm going to do it to 4, but it really could be anyone. It doesn't actually matter. We're going to take damage, open bracket, 0.05 if, close bracket, and then close this off. The wiki line just says this is the end of that information. And what this does is every time you do action 4, you're taking 5% damage. That's essentially what it's saying. And just to keep this a little bit cleaner, I'm just going to pull this back so it looks like that. Enter. And now, right, we have to do void. And now we have to copy our fighting game name over here. Control C, paste it here. And we're going to go the two dots, take damage, open bracket, float, space, underscore, damage amount, close bracket, space, and we're going to use this box right now. I'm going to go UE underscore log, and what this UE log does is basically allowing us, it's a temporary log that allows us to see if it's working. It's not going to be in the final game. Once again, this is early stages. We're just testing everything now to make sure as it gets more exciting, we're not going to run into any nightmare coding problems. Open brackets. We are taking damage for a percentage F points. F stands for float, so, and it's basically pulling up the information we just put down here. Well, we know that our life is 1.1.00 float. However, our damage that we take when we do action 4 is 0.05. So it's basically going to be saying we're taking 0.05 damage, or 5% damage. And that's essentially what it's going to be saying. So we're going to go over here quickly, comma, underscore, and this would be the damage amount, close bracket, and end the code there. Then also connect it to the player health minus or equal to underscore damage amount, and then we're going to say if open bracket player health is greater than 0.00 if close bracket, or is less than, technically, plain us. If the player health is less than 0, we want to say player health equals 0.0 if in that communication, and we are done. Right, let me just check my spelling. Player health, player health, player health, damage amount. I think everything looks okay. So basically what you're doing here is that you're making sure that you can't get negative health. So if it's less than 0, if it's -1, -2, -0.05, it's just going to revert back to 0. That's what you're doing here. It's just a well-polished bit of code. And to test, now this is the part that you need to test before you move on. So we're going to build this. If something's broken, yeah, it's likely going to be some grammar or spelling error. But I'm lucky. I did it perfect. So bold, 1 succeeded, 0 failed, 0 up to date, 1 skipped. It means everything is working. Now that you've done that, we can go back into our game. And to be safe, I'm going to compile it here as well. And I'm going to press play. And actually, I'm going to press stop. I'm going to just change this to, where is it here? New editor window. There we go. And when we look at this, we can see our life here. And there's one thing I actually want to show you while I do this is the log, the output log. Okay, press play. Let's lift this up a little bit so we can see the output log down here. And let's do this. So attack 1, attack 2, attack 3, and I'm going to press attack 4, and look, the health goes down as well. So we've successfully made our HUD work for our game. We will take this to a much higher level later on. And yeah, anyways, hope you're enjoying this series, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Where is OBS? And